Hey everyone, welcome to another segment of Cavalcade News, and boy, I've got a lot of stuff to share with you guys. We got some new details and info on the Venom spin-off movie, we got some new info on the Black Cat and Silver Sable movie, and of course, potentially a Mega Man movie to be produced by the great Masaoka. Without further ado, let's break this down. So we were able to catch up with the news of the Venom and Silver and Black directors talking the Spidey spin-offs. So we got some information here, and it says, though it remains unclear what shape the films will eventually take and how they'll interact with Tom Holland's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, we were able to speak with the filmmakers behind Sony's planned Spider-Man spin-offs. Venom and Silver and Black. And for those of you who don't know, Black as in the Black Cat and Silver as in the Silver Sable. But it looks like they're going to be going with the title of Silver and Black to get an update on the status of the films and a tease of what they have in store for the fans. First up, they went over talking about the Silver and Black. Director Gina Price Bythewood compares the films that she's been prepping for of the likes of Thelma and Louise and Midnight Runs. She said that she wanted to tell the story of two damaged women who are at war with each other but need each other to survive. That makes for an interesting kind of movie. You know, it kind of brings that dynamic towards the audience, and audience want to see a relationship with a character kind of like blossom. At first, yes, they're going to have struggles and they're going to be going through a tough time, but in the end it all works out. I mean, that's how usually buddy cop movies or buddy partnered movies tend to work out like. So yeah, Silver and Black is already starting to sound okay, I guess. I'm not sure how it's going to do financially and critically speaking, because Silver and Black Cat are not exactly huge characters. I mean, the only reason why they're making these spin-off films is because they're banking off of Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is a huge household name and the world's most popular superhero. So I really hope it does work out, although I'm not exactly excited for this movie. But from what's being said here, it's already piqued my interest, so we'll see how it goes. On the other hand, we got some new insight on the Venom side of things. Ruben Fleischer, who directed movies like Zombieland and Gangster Swab, opens up and shares his vision for Venom. And he said that he wanted to keep it closer to a horror film in the vein of John Carpenter or David Cronenberg. And he also said, "I've always been drawn to the more anti-hero superheroes," he says. "There's a dark element to the Venom and a wit that has always appealed to me." Fleischer also teased Eddie Brock and the symbiote will have a Jekyll-Hyde relationship in the film. And that's really interesting because, as we all know, Venom doesn't really address himself as I. He usually addresses himself as we, or in the first person, he says, "We are Venom." And sometimes Eddie Brock would address himself as I, or my other half. Ruben Fleischer also added that it become almost a third being, which is that of Venom. There's a famous quote, "You're Eddie Brock, I'm the symbiote, together we are Venom." And that's exactly what I was just talking about. And for those of you who want to get familiar with Venom and not maybe read any of the comics, I can give you a brief history about Venom and where he comes from. See, for those of you who want to know the origins of the symbiote, I mean, you gotta know that there's a lot of origins of the symbiote, and sometimes they're contradicted in movies or in cartoons or anything like that, but there are many interpretations of the character. My personal favorite coming from the classic Amazing series of issue 252 and Battle of Battle World, which is also known as Secret Wars. So in the distant past, there was a lineage of symbiotes that was born on a planet called Clintar. They were hatched from clutch of eggs in a cavern. As a member of the Agents of the Cosmos, its first host, an inhabitant of an icy world, proved to be evil and used the symbiote to carry out a genocide against his homeworld. So one thing you have to understand that originally the Clintar were never evil. It was just one of its brethren that turned against the entire race, because the Clintar actually desired to be one with the symbiote entities. So they were originally a peaceful race, but it's just, as it turns out, one of its brethren turned against everybody else. As a result, most of the race was imprisoned by its brethren, who considered it an aberration and feared it would contaminate the gene pool. This prison was later inadvertently incorporated into the makeup of Battleworld by the Beyonder, which I mentioned earlier. Battleworld takes place in the issues of Secret War, where Spider-Man famously obtains the black suit for the first time. And speaking of Battleworld, and that's where the origins of the black suit comes in, when Spider-Man obtains the black suit. After his costume has been badly damaged in battle in Battleworld, Spider-Man basically found this prison module where the symbiote has been trapped in and activated the machine, which released the symbiote in a form of a black goop. When Spider-Man touched the black goop, it covered his entire body, and reacting to Spider-Man's thoughts about the costume worn by the second Spider-Woman, it formed a new black and white costume, and to Spider-Man's surprise, this costume can mimic street clothes and provide a seemingly stronger supply of webbing, if not infinite supply of webbing. And then once he arrived back on Earth on issue 252, Spider-Man learned the costume was a sentient alien. My god, you mean to tell me it's alive? And that's when Spider-Man wanted to remove the suit, because if he had not removed the suit, it would have permanently bonded with him and controlled his body forever. This costume was overbearing to the point where Spider-Man's body was under control of the symbiote while he was asleep. And basically with the aid of Mr. Fantastic, Spider-Man was able to remove the suit, and that's how he discovered it was alive in the first place, because Mr. Fantastic had removed the sample from Spider-Man's costume to study it a little bit more. So Spider-Man gets rid of the symbiote at a church tower. You know, you've seen this in Spider-Man 3. We will not speak of Spider-Man 3. And Lee attaches to Eddie Brock, which is the first Venom. And if you don't know who Eddie Brock is, that's the character in this upcoming Venom solo movie. Now, Eddie Brock was the reporter for the Daily Globe who was fired after Spider-Man ruined him. Spider-Man debunked the story, exposing the identity of the real Sin Eater, humiliating Eddie Brock in the process and ruining his career to the point where he can only find work at like magazine corporations. Shortly before this though, Brock had found out that he had terminal cancer. After that, Brock was contemplating suicide. He was disowned by his parents, his wife divorced him, and his life was entirely in utter shambles. So like I said before, at the church where Peter Parker is getting rid of the symbiote suit, it just turns out that Brock ended up being there at the church as well. The symbiote, being attracted by Eddie's fixation on Spider-Man and adrenaline producing cancer, the symbiote bonded with Eddie and kept him alive. And see, this is where I'm kind of concerned how they're going to handle this solo movie. You have this version of the symbiote storyline where the symbiote attaches to Brock after leaving Peter Parker. And because of Eddie Brock's fixation towards Spider-Man and hatred to Spider-Man, the symbiote's own personal feelings, yes, that's right, the symbiote is an entity and it does have its own feelings, was able to form even more hatred towards Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Because Eddie Brock's feelings and hatred towards Spider-Man also influenced the symbiote as well. And that's how the symbiote is able to tell whether you're worthy or not, because the symbiote, like I said, does have its own personal feelings. You have other people that have tamed the Venom suit over time. Right now, Eddie Brock is Venom currently in the comics, but you know, there have been other people that have worn the suit, like Matt Gargan, Flash Thompson, and Angelo Fortunato. I mean, that's one good example as how the suit is able to actually form its own opinions and personality and leave the host at will. So moving on, we got some news about Telltale Games announcing new seasons of Batman, Wolf Among Us, and Walking Dead. That's right. If you haven't played them, get to it so you can catch up, because these new seasons are coming out soon later this year. I'm going to be streaming Batman Telltale series. The second season is called Batman, The Enemy Within. Just know that I will be streaming that, and hopefully you guys get to join me soon when we get to that. I'm pretty excited for it. Looks like the Riddler is going to be making an appearance in this season, and we're going to be exploring the John Doe, aka the Joker. As from the first season, if you played it, Joker made an appearance in the first season, but he didn't really have much of a big of a role or an impact in the first season. So hopefully that's explored upon in this season. Can't wait for it. Looking forward to it. Batman the Telltale series Season 2 debuts on August 5th. And finally, we got some other news that's really exciting, and I'm personally excited for it because I am a Mega Man fan. I've played the Mega Man games. So we got word that the directing team Henry Joost and Ariel Schulman, who directed Paranormal Activity 3 and Catfish, are in talks to write and direct the big screen adventure for classic video game characters Mega Man. Turning Entertainment and actor Masi Oka, you may know him as Hiro in the show Heroes that aired a few years back. He's going to be producing this movie, Mega Man. Mega Man is the little blue bomber that first premiered in 1987 back in the day, and has an extensive library of video games that have crossed countless consoles, ranging from Nintendo Entertainment System, aka the NES, to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, with over 100 games in the series. Mega Man is known for its extensive roster of characters, its deep lore, and especially its amazing soundtrack. Its soundtrack is killer and dope. You gotta check it out. If you haven't listened to any Mega Man soundtrack, I suggest you check it out now. Check out Mega Man X soundtrack. It's awesome. Even check out the remakes too. But knowing how video game movies get a really bad rep these days, I'm not sure how they're gonna handle this, because Mega Man has a very deep, rich lore, and I hope it's handled really well and it respects the lore and the original source material of, from the games. Here's to hoping that Masi Oka is gonna handle this really well. Hashtag in Masi Oka we trust. If you don't know this already, but Masi Oka was also involved deeply in the Death Note movie that's gonna be premiering on Netflix on August 25th. Even though it's getting mixed reactions and it's controversial from this point, but we don't know that yet because we haven't seen the movie. But yes, really exciting stuff coming out this year. Can't wait for it. I'm mostly looking forward to the Mega Man movie. Venom movie, I'm still iffy about it. They do have a good actor playing him. Tom Hardy is going to be playing Eddie Brock, aka Venom, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope that the Venom character ends up being shared with the MCU because it makes a lot of sense. Alright, so that's everything that you need to know for this week of Cavalcade of News. Let me know what you're most excited about. Leave your comments down below. Hit that like button if you like this video and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next comic panel.